So let's catch up with Jacob. Let's see how he ended up to be sleeping in this field. If you recall from last week, the little shyster stole the birthright from his brother, right? Fast forward a little bit further, and obviously these two are not getting along very well. Esau and Jacob are just at each other like this. But Isaac preferred Esau. He was a hunter. He was a man's man. But Rebekah was more fond of Jacob. He was more gentle, more of a feeler, a lovey-dovey kind of guy. Sometimes. But Jacob was always trying to do something to get ahead, by any means necessary. And so we fast forward to this story where Jacob is there with his mother, and he overhears his father, Isaac, who's become old and blind, and he calls for Esau. He says, "My son, come. I want you to go out and get 2 lambs and kill them and prepare the stew that I love so much, and then come back and give it to me so I can give you my blessing before I die." Well, Jacob came by his orneriness or his shyster-like ways pretty honestly, I think, because his mother had a little bit of that in her too. You see, when she heard this, she said, "My son, Jacob, come here, hurry up. Go out to the field, kill the lambs, take the skin, and put it on your arm, and come back." He's like, "But why? Why do I do something like that? Just go, hurry up. Get there before your brother does." So he comes back. He says, "Okay, go give it to your dad. Tell him that you're your brother, okay, and get his blessing." Well, that's a good idea. I kind of like that. Except he's like a woolly mammoth and I ain't got no hair on my arms. "Yeah, put the wool on your arms from the lamb. He's going to touch you, and he's going to see that you're Esau, and he's going to give you the blessing." Oh, okay. And so he does this, and he succeeds, and he gets his blessing. At first, Isaac is like, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. Okay, whatever. You're blessed. Your descendants will be numerous. May God go with you, and may you do everything that you seek to do in your life, etc., etc., etc. Amen. You're blessed. Get out of here. 2 seconds later, Esau shows up. "Okay, Dad, I brought your stew." Who is that? Oh my God, he did it again. Seriously, he did it again. He came in here and stole my blessing again. This guy is driving me nuts. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Dad, when you're dead, I'm sorry to tell you this, I won't do it out of respect for you while you're still alive, but when you're gone, he's going to get buried right next to you. Rebecca hears this. "Jacob, come here. You got to get out of here, man. Your brother's going to do you in. Get out of here." "Well, what am I going to tell Dad?" "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. I'll tell Dad that I don't want you being with these loose Canaanite women around here, and I'm going to send you out to be with my brother and my dad, and you'll find a woman out there." "Oh, okay." And he sets out. And there, on this journey, is where we find Jacob. Surprisingly, and perhaps not, standing, or sleeping at this point, at the same spot where Abraham was when he received the word from God that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. And on that same place, Jacob receives the same promise from God. But as Jacob is there, he has 3 awakenings. We generally see one, but I think Jacob had 3 awakenings. The first one is that he realized that the presence of God was in that place, right? Surely this is the house of God. Surely the presence of God is in this place. And I didn't know it. This is the gate of heaven. And we have this vision of these angels ascending and descending on Jacob's ladder, going up and down from Jacob down here to God up there in God's heavenly realm. He has this awakening that the presence of God was there. But see, he had another awakening, one that I think was more important, because in our lives we go along chasing after the presence of God. We go looking for the thin places, the holy places where we can find the presence of God and find some semblance of peace. We go to the mountains, we go to the sea, we go to chapels, We go to the forest and we sit. We seek and we search for the presence of God so that we can be reminded that God is still there and God is still active, and sometimes we just need to know that God still cares. Sometimes we succeed, and sometimes we don't. But the important part is that when we read this text in the English, there's a word that's omitted. It happens 4 times in the Hebrew. That good old biblical word, behold. Behold. Why is it so important? It's important because instead of God being way up there in heaven and Jacob is down here looking up and watching the angels go up and down, the original text tells us that God was standing right next to Jacob. And he says, Jacob, behold, a ladder. Behold, angels ascending and descending. Behold, the heavenly realm above you. Behold, 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 behold. The presence of God was always with Jacob. But Jacob didn't see it. It just so happened that in that place where his grandfather received his promise, his eyes were open to realize, oh my God, literally, you're here. And you've always been here. It wasn't about journeying out to find a special place where God just happened to be sitting and waiting for Jacob to show up someday. Instead, it just so happened that in that place, when Jacob was finally away from all this stuff, when he finally paused for a minute to stop chasing his obsessions, when he finally took a moment to lay his head down and relax and listen and rest, that he was awakened to the presence of God that was always with him. We create so much noise. We create so much distraction in our lives that we become numb. We become blind to the presence of God, and we think that God doesn't care, that God may not even exist. But this isn't on God. This is on us. This is where we pause and ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? What is it that we really need out of life? And when we take those moments to stop and listen and feel, then God stands next to us and says, behold, my creation. Behold, yourself. And we have an amazing awakening. Well, there was a third awakening there. And it kind of relates to this parable that Jesus told. He's talking about the wheat and the weeds, or the wheat and the tares, or the wheat and the chaff, depending on which gospel you read this parable in. And he's talking about this master who owns all this land, and somebody comes along and puts in weeds, and he says, well, what are you going to do about it? Should we just cut it all down? And he says, no, you can't do that, because it's interwoven. If you cut one down, you're going to cut the other one down, so you got to wait. You got to wait. And then at the end, we're going to wipe it all out together. But we hear this message of condemnation saying there's going to be this place where the bad people, right? The good guys and the bad guys are going to be separated in the last days. And the bad guys are going to be thrown out into the lake of fire, into Gehenna. Well, Gehenna was the waste dumps outside of Jerusalem. That was where they took stuff to be burned. The people who heard that message in the day understood that they weren't talking about, oh, we're going to burn people up in a lake of fire in hell. They understood. Out there where the junk goes, out there where it's really lonely because all the people are here and there's nothing out there but junk, some are going to end up there. But we hear this as about people who are going to be out there, right? Some are going to be here, the included and the excluded, the chosen, the unchosen, the good and the bad. That's not what it was. Jesus was talking about an internal struggle. The weeds were the bad habits that we build up in our lives. Those things that don't benefit us. Those things when we hang out with people who may not be good to hang out with. And I'm not talking about being judgmental and saying, oh, you're a bad guy, I will have nothing to do with you. No, I'm saying, for me, in my life right now, I'm sorry, I love you, but I don't need that. And we have to take those moments to say that, and we have to be strong enough to say that, and we have to know enough of who we are to know what we do need. That's the wheat. Building the good habits, doing the things that edify us, that strengthen us, that empower us to be who we are supposed to be. That is the story of the wheat and the tares, the chaff, the weeds. This is an internal struggle. I remember back in my earlier days when I first got married, I was all pumped up for God and I wanted to go and become a better man. So where else do you go in the late 90s than where? Come on, where do you go? You want to become a good man? Good godly man? Promise Keepers, come on. So I went to Promise Keepers. And it takes me back to those days when, and I still do love the old-time preachers. I still, whether I agree with the theology or not, doesn't matter. I still get pumped when I hear them. And I still remember E.V. Hill. E.V. Hill, this African-American man who could preach like nobody's business. And he stood up there, and I still remember. I love this sermon. I won't even try to mimic his voice because it's too high. I'm screwing my voice. But he says, I know you all think, you all have been told, that there is nothing that God ain't seen. Nothing. God knows it all, God sees it all, and He's seen everything. But I want to tell you, there's one thing that God ain't seen. God has never seen a man that He could not save. Person. God has never seen a person that God could not save. And it wasn't about the salvation that we think of. Right? It wasn't about gathering us up into heaven to be saved with the elect, or the righteous, or the good, or those who were good enough to pass God's holy text. It was more about the people who chose, the people who became aware of the presence of God and decided to become who they were meant to be. The people that are talked about in the story when Jacob says, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven, because that place is every place. Every place that we choose to be who we really are. When we build on the good habits, when we build on the dream of being who God made us to be. And so Jacob didn't fall asleep and have some goofy dream because he ate some spicy burritos before he went to bed. Jacob was awake for the first time. He was awake. And he was finally aware that every place is a holy place. That the presence of God is always with him. And for Jacob, most importantly for him at that time in his life, as he was going around and chasing things, trying to become somebody. He was always trying to become somebody by any means necessary. And God stood next to him and said, Jacob, you already are somebody. Now go be that somebody that I made you to be. God told Jacob that message a long time ago. And God tells us all that same thing every single day. Amen.